All right, let's cut right through all the marketing noise. In this explainer, we're going to tackle one of the most critical questions in crypto. Who is actually in control? It's time to stop just trusting slogans and start verifying the facts for ourselves.
So let's just dive right in. When you look at a new crypto project, what do you think the single biggest risk is? Is it some genius hacker finding a clever exploit? Or maybe a hidden, catastrophic bug buried deep, deep in the code?
Well, you might be surprised to hear this, but most projects don't fail because of a bug. Nope, they fail because of a breakdown in control. Who can upgrade the whole system? Who can move the money out of the treasury? Who really holds the power? That's where the real risk is hiding.
So today, we're not just going to watch from the sidelines. You're going to become the investigator. We're going to arm you with a straightforward toolkit to verify who truly holds the keys. And you know the best part? You don't need to know how to write a single line of code to do it.
Okay, so every good investigation has to start with knowing the usual suspects, right? So first, let's meet our lineup of common control structures. You're going to see these terms everywhere, so it's absolutely crucial to know what they actually mean.
First up in the lineup, we've got the admin key. You can literally think of this as the system's master key. It's just an account that has special permissions to do all the things regular users can't. Like pausing the contract, changing fees, or even pushing through a full system upgrade. Next, we have a single sig, and well, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It means just one signature from one single account is all that's needed to approve a major action. It's super fast, it's simple, but it is also a huge single point of failure. If that one key gets compromised, yeah, it's game over.
Now, to solve that single point of failure problem, we have the multisig, which is just short for multi-signature. This setup requires a minimum number of approvals from a whole group before anything can happen. We usually call this M of N. So for example, you might need, say, 3 out of 5 key holders to all sign off on a transaction. Then there's the time lock. And this one is a critical safety mechanism. It's a mandatory delay. See, even after an action gets enough approvals from a multisig, a time lock forces this waiting period before that action can actually go through. This gives the whole community a heads up to see what's coming down the pipe.
And of course, we have to talk about the DAO, the Decentralized Autonomous Organization. In theory, this is the model where control is really in the hands of the community. Any changes have to be formally proposed and then voted on by everyone who holds the project's governance token.
And finally, in our lineup, we have renounced ownership. This is when the original creator basically throws away the admin keys. They permanently give up their ability to make changes. Now, it sounds like the ultimate security feature, doesn't it? But as we're about to see, it's not quite that simple. And that really brings us to the most crucial point of this whole lineup. You have to understand that none of these are magic bullets. Every single one is just a structure with its own set of trade-offs. Reducing one kind of risk might just open the door to another.
All right, investigator, you've met the suspects. Now, it's time to open up your toolkit. This is your 5-step verification workflow. This is how you're going to find the truth behind the marketing. Let's just walk through it. Step 1, you've got to identify the critical components. Ask yourself, what can actually be changed here? Look for things like upgrades in treasury control. Step 2, find the controller addresses for those parts. You can usually find these in the official docs or just by looking on a block explorer. Step 3, classify that controller. Is it one person, a multisig, or a DAO? Step 4 is to verify the details. If it's a multisig, what's the threshold, and what exactly does it control? And finally, step 5, look for any constraints. Is there a time lock in place forcing a delay?
And this brings me to the golden rule of your entire investigation. If you're digging around and you just can't find clear, easy answers to those questions, your conclusion isn't, I don't know. No, your finding is that the control structure is unknown. And let me tell you, that lack of transparency is a massive red flag all on its own.
Okay, so now you've got your investigative toolkit. Let's talk about how these very concepts are often twisted to mislead people. It's time to look at the deception, and I'm going to show you how to spot these common marketing traps from a mile away. I mean, this slide is the perfect example. The marketing claim on the left just says, secured by a multisig. Sounds pretty good, right? Safe, decentralized, but your investigation uncovers the verifiable fact over on the right. It's just a 2 of 3 multisig where all 3 signers are the founders, and oh yeah, they can upgrade the entire system instantly with no time lock at all. See the gigantic difference?
So you've got to keep an eye out for these common red flags. A project that says it's DAO governed but has no public proposals or votes? Come on, that's not a DAO. A multisig where they conveniently forget to mention the threshold? That's a secret for a reason. And please be wary of anyone who claims renounced ownership solves every problem. You have to be skeptical of these vague claims.
Okay, so you've done the work. You've followed the steps. You've spotted the traps. Now for the final, most important part, the verdict. How do you take all these facts you've uncovered and actually interpret what they mean for the project's real risk profile?
This simple chart right here gives you a fantastic mental model. The risk of some sudden, unwanted change is extremely high when one single person has all the keys. A multisig lowers that risk, for sure, but there's still a chance the signers could get together and act really quickly. But when you add a time lock to that multisig, the risk of a sudden change just drops dramatically. Why? Because the community has time to see it coming and react.
And this table just lays out those trade-offs we talked about perfectly. A multisig with a time lock? Great. It reduces the risk of a sudden change, but it introduces the risk of the signers colluding. A DAO reduces centralized risk, but it opens up new risks like governance capture. And renouncing ownership gets rid of that admin risk, but it also means there's no way to fix a critical bug if one is found later on. You see? There is no perfect solution here.
So let's wrap this up with your key takeaways. First, and most importantly, don't trust the slogans. You have to verify control. Your goal as an investigator is to find the answers to these core questions. Who can change what? How many approvals does it take? And are there any safety constraints, like a time lock, in place?
And as always, please remember this explainer is for educational purposes only. It is definitely not financial advice. The risk of loss when you're dealing with digital assets can be really substantial, so it is absolutely vital that you always do your own research.
So I'll just leave you with one final question to think about. Now that you have the tools to be an investigator, now that you can peek behind the curtain and verify the facts for yourself, which slogan are you ever going to trust at face value again?